So here's the new property. This is the, it's about 4 acres, just under 4 acres, that we're developing in North Carolina. Now we're not developing it like most people. We're cleaning it up, making it ready to plant some citrus trees, some avocado trees, some peach trees, and then kind of seeing what's already here and trying to work with it. There's a lot of trails that were previously cut into this property. I'm in love with this freaking property. I'm in love with it. It's one of the nicest properties I've ever had. The trees are very mature. There's mature trees and it's all clear underneath them. You know, there's some trees in here that are a couple hundred years old, if not older. Nice hardwoods. There's a couple pines that I'm working on. Some useless pine trees that we're making some space for a driveway. But I want to show this to you guys. So it's all the way to that little pink marker over there. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but we'll start walking around. So about a third of it is field like this. So and the rest of it's all mature trees. And somebody really loved this property. And you can tell because some of the trees have been limbed up. You can tell that they were cut a very long time ago. And they didn't cut the trees, which is the best part, you know. And I'm walking over here because I want to show you guys a wild blackberry patch that I found. And I'm cutting pathways in between it to get access to it. If any of you guys know anything about blackberries, no matter how many damn blackberries you got, if you can't get to them, you ain't got no blackberries. And this is it right here, as you can see. So there's blackberries all in here, and then these are all blackberries in here. That's all blackberries. But I mowed a pathway right here, right down in between these two. And then I also got on the back side of this one, separated it from the forest, and made another pathway, nice clearing right in here, so you can get behind these. And they're all leaning this way. Now this was all mowed the previous year, so this is all new growth. I don't see any canes that are going to die. These are all going to be loaded with wild North Carolina blackberries, midsummer. And as you can see, there's some good sized trees, and there's some interesting clearings that I found. I don't know if they're blackberry clearings or what, or if somebody used them, but I mean, there's some nice openings that you can see just from here. And wow, that's a big tree right there. And what I'm trying to do with this property more than anything is work with what's already here. I found some trails that were kind of overgrown, wide enough that a vehicle could drive through. And I just cleaned it up, took the bushes down, took all that brush down. Blackberries over here. You know you're in black. Look at all the blackberries. And they start snagging you as you're walking by. Nice little patch of blackberries right here also too. Now what I've done in Tennessee with the wild blackberries is I just kind of let them go, and I just sculpt them. You mow around them where you don't want them, and you kind of try to steer them and let them grow where you do, even transplanting them. But this is the corner right here. So we've got the edge of the field here, and then it goes over there and then cuts across. And here's some big pines that I've been cutting down. Now I don't want any driveways going in here where the orchard's gonna be. My hand's messing it up. Fruit trees all in here, vegetables and everything. I don't want to use this for driveways. I've got a bunch of pines in here that I've been clearing out, and a bunch of smaller stuff. And the driveway's going to be in here. But before we get to that, let's check this out. Look at this pathway right here. I found this, and I just mowed it. Got in here, and there's like a row of trees here and a row of trees over here, and a nice pathway in between. And this thing goes all the way back. We got our chairs in here. And what's funny is we got like pines over here, And then hardwoods over here like sycamores, oaks, maples, box alder, all kinds of stuff. I mean, this is I'll show you. It's sandy, but it's rich. Sycamore, oak, cherry. There's some good stuff in here. But you can see that this clearing right here, on the other side of this, I stopped right here, and it's kind of brushy in here. I still need to get in here and clean this up. But there's a big opening in here. And you can see it, pines, hardwoods, and a clearing right in the middle. And there's a really big oak right there, right on the corner. Now this property, those are sugar maples. That's a big sugar maple. That was probably a giant tree that they cut probably, I don't know, 100 years ago, maybe 200 years ago, and it's grown into 3 or 4. That's a giant sugar maple. Look at that. It's 5 trees growing out of a single stump. This one here is kind of to the side, but they're all together. Get a little distracted, get a little excited. But yeah, I mean, even the pines in here and everything. So the plan is that there's going to be mushroom trails. There's going to be trails in here. I'm going to be using the wood that I'm cutting down, like the pines. That's going to be for boards. We're going to be making tables, countertops, shelves, fireplace mantles, all that good stuff. We're going to be using it for framing also too. So we're going to be using all that pine. Pine's really only good for building and burning, you know. There's some sweet gum in there and some smaller oaks that are going to be where we're going to be parking that I've cut down, and I'll show you those. And I started getting those ready for shiitake mushrooms, oyster mushrooms, those two mainly. And but like, got 3 different kinds of oysters and 2 different types of shiitakes I ordered. And I'm gonna try to get some of these mushrooms in the logs today. But look at the size of this pine right here that I cut out. This thing's a beast. Gonna make some nice boards. Real nice boards. I'd say it's probably between 2 and 3 feet in diameter. Decent. And then I've got like an oak right here. But here's a couple of the pines. Making brush piles. Here's an extra stainless steel sink that I had in the back of my truck that I'm sure I can use it for something here. But yeah, so this is where the parking lot's going to be. That's where the driveway is going to be. And here's a little sugar maple that I'm trying to keep. There's a little sugar maple here. There's one here that kind of got ran over. There's a couple in here, these little guys in here. As you can see, there's like 1, 2, 3. But I like those. I'm going to try to keep those. But I got rid of a bunch of pines that were in here and a bunch of these sweet gums. And so here's the logs that we're going to be inoculating with mushrooms. This is pretty much all sweet gum. And got some more logs over here that need to be cut in half. But this is where the driveway is going to be, is right in here. And there should be a little, I'm thinking about maybe putting right in here a little shipping container cabin, a 10 by 20. Finish it up on the inside, make it look nice. Looks like a little mini hotel room. And you can see where there's almost already ready a driveway right in here. We're going to clear these trees out. I've already got them marked with white spray paint. We're going to clear this all out and drive in off of the road here. Come around this pine, and then you've got a nice opening in here that we're working on. So this is part of the property. So as you guys can see, I got my work cut out for me, but that's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I need the work. And this is good stuff, you know. I'm getting rid of useless pine trees and using them for lumber, for firewood, and then all the stuff that, these smaller stuff like this, sweet gums and the smaller oaks and stuff like that. That's gonna be some of the best mushrooms you've ever had. Medicinal mushrooms, you know, stuff that's actually healthy, it heals you. And I'll save that all for another video. But yeah, this is it. There's a trail that I started over here on this side through all of these sycamores, and you can see the sycamores in here. Beautiful property. Plan is maybe have a little place to stay out here, a little cabin, a bunch of orange trees, cold hardy citrus trees, cold hardy avocado trees, peaches, wild blackberries, blueberries do fantastic in here, especially with the pine, and trails, a bunch of trails going through here with mushrooms, mushroom trails. So there's always going to be something to harvest, something to do. You know, I'm even going to try to fit a couple rows of sweet potatoes in between stuff. I'm going to be doing that this year. I'm not going to get any fruit this year from none of the fruit trees that I plant, but I'm going to be digging up some sweet potatoes in this fall. I'll be damned. I'll be damned. So we're going to grow in a bunch of sweet potatoes, mushrooms, fruits, you know, avocados, citrus, a lot of cool stuff. And so stay tuned for all that. I'm going to stop talking, and it's time to get to work. found some golf balls. The neighbors must be shooting over here, practicing their golf swing. But I put them on top of this anthill, this fire anthill right now. They're pretty pissed. What we're doing is that the trees have a natural antifungal inside of them. And it usually takes, I mean, in the summertime, you know, within the first week of you cutting it down, the antifungals are there and they start to kind of work their way out. It stops fungus from taking over living trees, you know, while the tree's still alive. It stops it from rotting out. So as it's cut down, that stuff starts to leave. And what I'm doing is I'm introducing my mushrooms, my fungus that I want to break these things down and make them rot. I want them to rot out with my mushrooms. Oyster mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms, lion's mane, whatever the hell I plant in them. But what I'm doing is I'm completely overrunning it with mycelium, oyster mushroom mycelium. So instead of the other stuff, you know, turkey tails and whatever other mushrooms, native mushrooms and stuff are in here, stuff that you can't necessarily eat, stuff that you don't necessarily want. You might want it, but I want blue dolphin. I want blue oysters in these logs. And you do about 5, flip it, usually about 3 or 4, depending on how big the log is. 3 or 4 rows of 5. 4 usually, figure about 20 per log. And 3-foot logs, you don't want them too big. If they're too big and stuff, you got to do like a totem pole. But this right here is we're completely overrunning the logs with oyster mushroom mycelium, kind of giving it a jump start. So when it does start to rot and it does start to break down, it's going to break down with my mushrooms growing out of them that we can harvest and eat and pick and sell and all that good shit. This right here is the sweet gum. And then these other 2 that you saw over here that were a little bit nicer, these are oak. I think the oak is the best for oysters. You can grow sweet gum, you can grow oysters and sweet gum. Oak is recommended. shiitakes do the best with the oak and the sweet gum, but I can grow oysters in these. So I only brought oysters with me. I got the shiitakes at the house. But next step is waxing these up. Now that it's in there, now I've hammered that mushroom mycelium in there, I got to seal it up with some wax. And this is supposed to be a soft wax that you can play with. It comes, they sell it at Field and Forest. That's where I get my mushroom stuff from. And this is pretty cool. I just kind of spread it out and seal it up in there. Oh, that's pretty neat. All right. If you can see that, it's just spreading on it like thick cheese butter. I think there's one yet. Cool. And that should stop it from drying out necessarily and letting that mycelium work its way through. I don't know how much is too much of this wax or how much is not enough, so I'm just going to kind of wing it. This is a different type of wax. Usually you just kind of pour you get like hot wax, little heat it up on a fire or whatever like that, and just kind of pour it on there. But this is some different stuff. This is like a spreadable finger wax, I guess. All right. Now there's metal aluminum tags that I forgot at the house, and you use those to mark them. You write the date that it was cut, the date it was planted, or you just do both. So that way a couple years from now you can see how old each log is and which ones are still producing, and they'll usually produce for anywhere from 4 to 6 years, sometimes even longer, depending. And the strain of mushroom you got in there too, whichever variety you grew. All right, that one's done. Dunsky. Oyster mushrooms, here we come. Huh. All right. Speaking of oysters, seal these guys back up. All right. Oh yeah. Oh, I like the oak. The bark is so much better on it for this. Getting late, the mosquitoes are moving in. I'm not complaining. Middle of January, 70 degrees today. I'll freaking take it. I'll take it. I would probably say that this wax right here is probably one of the most important parts. without this, without sealing this up, and kind of fusing those things together, you know, where they don't get dried out, where stuff's not pecking at them, you don't have bugs messing with them and stuff. I think without that, it's probably going to be a little bit harder. I'm sure it'll still work, don't get me wrong, but this just really makes sure. Now, it's going to take about 6 months. I should get some of these in the fall. Some mushrooms in the fall. It's going to take about 6 months for the mushroom mycelium, the mushroom roots, to colonize these logs. They're going to start to turn white and everything, and I got to get them through the summertime. The summertime is going to be really dry and really hot. So I'm going to try to put these guys in a nice shady spot leaning up against a tree on the north side, the shadiest side where most of the fungus grows. And I might even lay some down and cover them up with some of this mulch, this forest mulch in here, just to kind of protect them a little bit. Let all that mushroom stuff just start to rot. And then at the end of summer, I'll pull them up out of the ground and lean them up against some trees, maybe stack a couple of them and stuff. And the mushrooms will just pop right on through these, and right through the bark, and they'll come up out of the ends. But usually right where you hammer those in, that's where you'll have some mushrooms growing. And so stay tuned for all that. I'm going to stop talking, and it's time to get to work.